thank you, of course, for all of your patience. It was race number 2 of the lower bracket about to get itself underway. Quick reminder, Yuri Toman, Daniel Pajor, the front row, Dane Warren from Marcel Cinchik just in behind. Let's see what we can do then for 10 laps of the Hockenheim Ring, maybe to decide the fate of a couple of these teams. 10 laps. And we go racing. Yuri Toman leads towards turn 1. Daniel Pajor, though, tucking in behind. We've got a couple of cars scrambling wide as well as side by side. Dane Warren tries to get an up and under with 3 wide towards turn number 2. Marcel Cinchik through the middle, gets sandwiched by the 2 cars. Pajor trying to go the long way around, just able to hang on. With a good traction there from the Aussie of Dane Warren, keeps him honest. Side by side, bit of bumping, and Dane Warren goes wide. He's going to lose 1, 2, 3 places to his own teammate as well as Charlie Collins drives his way through. But the slipstream is important. Now we make our way to the crucial pinch point of turn 6.
Pajor trying to get across, I don't think he can. Cinchik just got his nose alongside and into the apex. He's going to go deep. Look at that, just really forcing the issue. Very aggressive driving from Cinchik, and that's good news for Team Vitality. They're first, second and third.
It's all gone wrong for Porsche Coanda as well. Look at that, Jordan Caruso just able to hang on from stopping them being lining up the entirety of the back 4. But look at this from Vitality. Yuri Toman, Jajovski, Marcel Cinchik, the top 3, but Dominic Bly's gone in deep going into the Mercedes arena section, and that's going to cost him. Beliziotis, though, has worked his way up to P5. And now Thibaut Casabon is trying to launch a bit of an attack, side by side towards the Mobile 1 arena section, and now through the right-hander, the long way round for Casabon shouldn't really work, but he's able to muscle his way through. Beliziotis now as the outside for the heavily inside camber. Sachs curve, that's going to put Beliziotis on the disadvantage, but he's able to hang on there as they fight for 5th.
I was really talking up Porsche before the race. I think I've given them the curse. I do really strongly apologise for that. But they are down the order now. Plenty of time though, 10-lap race, 9 more to go. We do have time for those guys to try to make their way up the order. Hockenheim has proved to be quite tricky to overtake around, but they have the time in their favour at the moment. But this is looking really good for Team Vitality. Of course, Vitality and Williams really do need to catch up. That only 1 team is going through from this bracket, and 2 are going to be leaving the competition. So it's all guns blazing. You need to go for it now. There's not much time really to make it happen.
Yeah, not a lot of time to be messing around at all. As things stand, Team Vitality would be the top scoring team. Still with 1 race left to go, of course, at Fuji, and maybe that does favour the Porsche. Again, more moves being made in towards turn number 6. Dominic Blyer under pressure from Caruso and Rogers all around him. It's Williams versus Porsche towards the back end of the field, and a car's gone round. And that's Dominic Blyer at the back of the field. One of the huge names for Williams Sim Racing. One of the biggest point scorers for Williams Sim Racing is now plumb last and effectively out of this race.
Oh, there's another spin there as well. Who was that? That was one of the Porsches. Was it Caruso? Yes, he was just tagged. It looked like by his teammate, in fact. We're going to take a look at these incidents, I'm sure, in a moment. But yeah, really bad news there for Blyer and Caruso. I think Blyer on the exit of the hairpin, they're all fighting for space on the way into the corner, through the corner, and on the way out as well. You're trying to assert dominance over your opponents. And obviously coming to blows there, 2 of them down to the back of the pack and pretty much race over for the pair of them.
Yeah, this swings the favour firmly back into Vitality's hands, and this is R1 competition. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how unpredictable motor racing, sim racing in general can be. Even if you are the favourite, nothing is guaranteed. You are always suspended in a sense of anticipation, in a sense of uncertainty, because your fortunes can flip at a moment's notice, and that's gone the way of Porsche Coanda. Joshua Rogers, Charlie Collins and Dane Warren, 7, 8 and 9, and that's the best of the lot. Jordan Caruso down in P11 scoring a lone point for Porsche Coanda, and of course we might well have some stewards inquiries to look at over the first couple laps as well. We'll keep you up to date with all the information that we get into the commentary box. Daniel Pajor, though, trying to do everything that he can to spoil the party for Team Vitality out in front. He's flying the flag for Atlassian Williams Sim Racing very, very well. He's got Beliziotis less than a second behind him as well. Let's see if they can close the gap and get after a very dominant top 3.
Yeah, Blyer and Pfeffer down there, 12th and 10th. Not good for what I would say is the lead 2 Williams drivers. Let's take a look at this incident down towards turn 2. It's all kicking off. No, sorry, this is the hairpin, in fact. And this is why Blyer got kind of tagged on the rear end, just the tiniest bit of contact. He seemed to have a bit of steering angle there, and that's just the reason for him to spin. So really unfortunate moment. I'm sure that is being studied in the stewards room. But yeah, Pfeffer and Blyer have been the standouts, I think, for Williams. But now it's up to Pajor BS+COMPETITION, they really do need to kind of make inroads into that trio of Vitality cars at the front. Their points total is looking really bad. They're going to leave themselves with perhaps too much work to do if it stays like this.
Yeah, exactly. We saw there as well, the 93 of Charlie Collins actually did tap Dominic Blyer. That was the Porsche just in behind that made the contact. It was the 92 of Josh Rogers that initially went for the move. He got it done quite cleanly. There you can see Joshua Rogers, of course, previous drivers champion and statistically the best driver in R1's history. He has got countless victories, 44 to his name, 75 podiums. Basically, he's been on the podium for over half of his races. That just screams the level that Joshua Rogers, we know how good he is, but he's just not been quite there today. And it almost hurts to say because we all know how good he is. He's just got to keep his composure and press on. But when we talk about Team Redline, when we talk about Virtus.pro up there, and typically Porsche Coanda, and we always talk about what is the difference, what separates the good teams from the great teams, or even the great teams for the greater teams. It's always that unity, that working together, that uniform that they have between their four drivers, that sync that they have, in the sense that all four drivers can win a race, right? You look at Redline, all four drivers on their day, in the opportunity, can win a race. Williams right now have got their two main drivers not in contention. They need to step up. That's what cost Jordan Caruso to go around. It was a slight bit of contact to the rear end of another car. That spent him round, and that has spelled pretty much disaster to his race.
I think that was very much an unforced error. Just went in, just carried off, carried a bit too much speed on the way in, and just didn't want to go into the back of his teammate there. And once that Porsche has its momentum swinging round on the rear end, it's just going to go round. So I would say an unforced error there. Big mistake from Caruso.
Yeah, indeed. So, of course, yeah, not exactly what you want to be seeing at all. And like you say, just went in a bit deep, tapped the rear end, and around he went. It's as simple as that. If it's of your own volition, you've got no one to blame but yourself. You've got to take that accountability. I wonder who's going to be taking accountability at Atlassian Williams Sim Racing for, at the moment, not been the best of pace in Hockenheim. Pastor and Galiziottis, though, up there in the top 5, but they just don't quite have that extra little bit to get past Toman, Yujovski and Chinchik. And even when they do, I mean, Pastor is within 6/10, firmly within that slipstream range, but we know how strong the Aston Martin is in a straight line. Even though they've got slipstream, they've still got the brick wall that is all three cars to get through, and the rear gunner of Thibaut Casabon just in behind as well. They're getting boxed in from both angles here. Yeah, it's really difficult to overtake a block of two cars. We'll see if Pastor can do this. He is kind of remaining in that kind of pocket, just over half a second behind. He does need to kind of close in to give himself a chance, really, I think, into the hairpin, then maybe into the Mercedes-Benz arena. That's kind of where the overtakes are going to happen, and just put them under some sort of pressure. But Chinchik, Yujovski, these guys, they're so good at what they do, and it's unlikely they're going to be pressured too hard. But yeah, Pastor just needs to close up a little bit here. Williams are very much in need of a lot more points, and of course there's much more points available towards the front of the pack. Blyer could maybe get past Caruso, but that's only worth 1 point. It wouldn't really help them out too much. Pastors needs to start making some moves towards that podium. Yeah, it really does. He needs to start being just that little bit more aggressive. I don't think it's a case of won't. I think it definitely is a case of can't. And there's no reason for him to not be aggressive in this situation. He really has to push, because Williams are clutching at straws here, and as good of an underdog story as it would have been, right? Everyone, I think, who loves an underdog was almost cheering for them. I know Taylor on the in the studio was almost like, I would love this story, because they were in the very last chance qualifying. They were in the race off at Daytona, but if they didn't win, they were gone on day one. To potentially have had the opportunity to go all the way through to the final is sensational, but that likelihood is seeming less and less with every turn of the lap counter that we see in this lower bracket. It seems to swing more and more in favour of the hive that is Vitality. 1, 2 and 3 in this race, and we talk about Chinchik, we talk about Toman, but Yujovski and Casabon have both stepped up today. It seems that sort of after being so close to being knocked out, Virtus.pro and Vitality have sort of looked themselves in the mirror and gone, lads, let's sort this out, and they've really arrived on day 3. Yeah, not many teams throughout this competition have really stamped a massive authority on any of the individual races. We've had a couple of 1-2s and stuff, but a 1-2-3, we don't really see that very often. That is such a big point score. Is it 25, 20 and 16? So that's a huge amount of points to get in one go. And as it stands, I think they'll be roughly maybe about 30 points ahead of the other two teams, which is a very
nice margin to try to manage in that third and final race after this one. And I think it's a nice, luxurious position to be in when you're at the front and you have a big points gap, because you can kind of drive a bit differently, you can drive a bit safer, you can manage the gap, and you don't really have to take as much risk. The other teams are the ones who are going to have to take the risk in race 3.
Exactly. Right now, Vitality, by the way, are scoring what is 71 of a maximum 76 points that you can score in a race. So 1, 2, 3, 4 gets you 76. If you add up 25, 20, 16, and 13, gets you 76 points. They're getting 71 and really stamping their authority, like you say, on this group. I mean, again, after Porsche Coander's woes in the upper bracket, I think everyone thought they were just going to come back down. They were going to bounce their way back up like an elastic band, straight back into the finals. But it's not been that easy, and that is the way the pendulum can swing sometimes. You cannot take your foot off the accelerator, both literally and figuratively. The moment that you do, your rivals, like Vitality, who maybe weren't expecting to be beating Porsche Coander, have looked at this opportunity and gone, well, no, we now have a chance to get ourselves into the top 3, to at the very least guarantee ourselves $60,000 of prize money, and more importantly, maybe for the overarching narrative of the Esports World Cup, more points in that club championship. It's swinging the way of Vitality. We're on lap 7 of 10, and Toman, 2.4 seconds clear of the pack. He's taken 3 wins the Hockenheim ring before. He's very looking good for his 4th. That, though, is very wide from Vasilios Belitsiotis. That's going to allow Kazabon and maybe Rogers through as well.
Yeah, I was just looking at this battle. They were just tagged on each other there. Josh Rogers couldn't quite make it through. They kind of got caught on each other. Belitsiotis quite lucky there, I would say. He had a really uncharacteristic mistake there into the penultimate corner, just running really wide under. I guess that's just pressure. That's what it is. Just making a bit of a mistake. Losing only 1 position, I think, quite lucky to do so. But Josh Rogers really does need to make some ground up here, as do Collins and Warren behind him. The Porsche team, you know, not even in the top half of this race, which is very surprising to see. You know, James Walder, I'm pretty sure he said that there could be an upset with one of the top 3 seeds going out, and at the moment it's not looking good for Porsche as he goes to the outside, does Rogers, against Belitsiotis. Is he going to be able to get that traction I was talking about off the corner? He's going to be side by side. This could give him a chance in towards the Mercedes-Benz arena.
Let's find out. Of course, it's just gotten from bad to worse for Belitsiotis. He's now got a 1-second time penalty as well. Joshua Rogers looks to go to the inside of the Mercedes arena section. That's the beneficial line. However, Belitsiotis is going to try and keep his foot in around the outside. The next right-hander is cambered on the inside, so it can work. But around the outside goes Joshua Rogers in that 92 Porsche Coander. He's immediately on the defensive, and look at his teammates arriving on the scene. Charlie Collins next to attack. He looks to go to the inside of the Mobile 1 curve. Belitsiotis has to go to the outside, but it favours him for the Sachs curve. Inside line for the Atlassian Williams Sim Racing driver. The German-Greek hangs on just to 7th place. Charlie Collins in behind, but that attack is far from over. Lap 8 of 10 now just started. We've got less than 3 laps of this race left to run, and it's not looking good for Williams, and it's not looking good for Porsche Coander.
No, they're fighting each other here at the back of the pack. They're taking points off of each other, but they really need to be taking points off of Vitality as well. Kazabon's moved up to 5th. They are getting close to, is it 76 points you said, or 77, a maximum possible score? They are very close to that, with Kazabon there in 5th instead of 4th, but it's looking really strong. We very rarely see a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or a 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th. Looking really, really good for them. Rogers needs to kind of maybe, I'm just looking at the order here, I don't think he's really going to be close enough to catch up with Kazabon. He needs to try and help Collins and Warren to get past Belitsiotis. That's probably the first point of call here, and probably the best chance of increasing their points haul towards the end of the race, as there's only a lap and a half to go.
Yeah, indeed. So on to the penultimate lap of the race. Toman leads from Yovski and Chinchik, really doing well at the front for Vitality. As things stand, they're scoring 73 points of a total 76. Just looked as well at the lower bracket averages. BMW M Team Redline Red Bull Sim Racing, you know, arguably the favourites now, definitely for the championship. 44 points on average. Team Vitality, 47.5. Granted, they've only done 2 races, and this one is far from over. We've still got Fuji to go, but that stat definitely puts them in good stead. A bit of a snap of oversteer, I think, from Belitsiotis just in front. Maybe that pressure getting to him ever so slightly. Got to be careful not to cook his tyres. On to what is going to be the final lap of the race. Lap 10 of 10. Yuri Toman is able to lead. Haniyovski, though, and Chinchik just being such good supports. I mean, I say they've been such good supports. They haven't needed to be. Pajtor unable to close that gap.
Yeah, they've just been unbeatable at the front. Really, really solid performance from this team. Getting first, second and third early on and just not really looking back at all. Casabon as well, just moving up the order, doing a really solid job to increase the points haul overall. And, you know, it's a performance like this which could put them really safe for race 3. And as I said, you know, they can just kind of manage the gap. They know what they need to do. Obviously, there's still a lot on the line and nothing is guaranteed. Qualifying might not go their way, which could make things hard for them, but they're going to have a very solid points haul after this one. And race 3 is looking good for them.
Yeah, indeed it is as well. The EWC mantra, nothing is granted, everything is earned. And, well, you have to show up on the day. Just because your name is Porsche Commander does not mean you get a free ride to the final. Yuri Toman, half a lap left to go. He's been faultless.
Oh, he's been so good. I think out of all of the drivers today, I think he's probably impressed me the most. He just switched up to another level today. And this is going to be a very well-deserved victory for him.
Indeed it is. He's got a couple more corners left to negotiate. He's taken, so far, 2 victories at the Esports World Cup. This would be his 3rd. He's taken 3 victories around Hockenheim. This would be his 4th. Yuri Toman has stepped up for Team Vitality. Erhan Yuyovsky has stepped up for Team Vitality. Chinchik continuing to fly the flag high. Out of the final corner, Yuri Toman sees the checkered flag first. And what a race it is for Team Vitality. They put themselves in a prime position for promotion into the finals of the Rennsport R1 Esports World Cup in 2025. What a race that was for them, near perfection.
It was a team, it was a story of, you know, 2 opposing kind of energies there, because Team